Hi, I'm Kamali, taking you through some of the things people are talking about and some of the stuff they're sharing around the world on Newsfeed today. When a clothing ad upsets a nation, we'll tell you what went wrong when Uniqlo tried to sell its new fleeces. As a huge settlement with drug companies is announced, we look at how one of the world's most well-known kids' TV shows is dealing with addiction. We'll tell you why these Bangladeshi men have dyed their beards. And how did this dog end up 15 meters down a cliff face? It's Tuesday's Animals Doing Stuff. And it's top of our newsfeed, Uniqlo. The Japanese clothing brand has produced some adverts for its new campaign and, well, they've not gone down well in one of their biggest markets. You see, some South Koreans thought the ads had a subtext which referred to a painful part of their history. Here's Esra.
Wow, this is so amazing.
This is the latest ad by the Japanese clothing company Uniqlo.
I can't remember that far back.
It may seem like your average fashion ad, but the brand has been hit with controversy after a Korean version was subtitled differently.
My goodness, how can I remember something that happened more than 80 years ago?
It caused anger in South Korea and calls for a boycott of the brand. So why the controversy? South Koreans say Uniqlo's translation was intentionally done to mock people who were enslaved during World War II. Back then, the Korean peninsula was occupied by Japan, and an estimated 200,000 women were made sex slaves.
와 할머니 그 문구 완전 좋은데요?
난 상기시켜주는 걸 좋아하거든.
Yoon Dong-hwan created a parody on YouTube to debunk the ad. He interviews a 90-year-old woman who was a forced laborer during World War II. And university student Bang Soo-ki-chun was among those picketing in front of a Uniqlo store in Seoul, demanding an official apology.
오히려 한국을
Japan keeps making Korea look like the bad guy for bringing this issue up, and that made me want to do a one-man protest.
이번에 유니클로에서
Uniqlo has denied it intended to upset and has pulled the advert, saying,
The advertisement in question is a part of a global advertisement series to mark the 25th anniversary of Fleece. It has no links to any political or religious agendas, beliefs or organizations. But we decided to stop airing the ad as we take it seriously that many people felt uncomfortable.
So was one of the world's biggest retailers deliberately insulting tens of millions of customers? Or did some people on the internet take offense from something that wasn't there?
All right, let's take a look at some of the other things that caught our eye on social media.
It's an instinct. A feeling.
Well, the final teaser trailer for the latest Star Wars movie has dropped and it's already been watched at least 6 million times on Twitter alone. The movie, The Rise of Skywalker, will apparently be the last one of the original series, which started back with Star Wars A New Hope in 1977. Fans, including me, really need this to be good. There are Easter eggs in the trailer, including what looks like the re-emergence of Emperor Palpatine, which would be impressive, as we all know, Vader threw him down that shaft in the Death Star at the end of Return of the Jedi. An artist called Don Mupasi created this piece and put it on his social media. It was pretty popular. Then the singer and convicted domestic abuser Chris Brown stole it and put it on his social media with not even a credit and with a terrible song of his beneath it. Don Mupasi has contacted Brown's management, but they've not yet responded. Mupasi can be followed on Instagram on at Visual Dom, and he is well worth it. Now, Instagram will start adding a guidance which will tell users that the posts they're looking at have been deemed to be false information by the Facebook fact-checkers. Recently, US politicians said that Instagram was the most effective tool in spreading misinformation used by the Russian troll farm, the Internet Research Agency, during the 2016 presidential election. And next up, what does Sesame Street have to do with America's opioid crisis? Well, this week, 4 pharmaceutical companies agreed to a last-minute settlement to avoid going to trial over their alleged role in the oversupply of opioid-based painkillers to Americans. You see, the big drug companies have been accused of pushing painkillers onto doctors and lying to them about just how addictive those pills are. And in the US, it's estimated that 2 million people have opioid-related disorders, and since some of them are parents, it means kids are affected too, which is where Sesame Street comes in. Take a look at this.
The world's full of different birds with different points of view.
Carly's mommy has a disease called addiction. Addiction makes people feel like they need a grown-up drink called alcohol or another kind of drug to feel okay.
You are safe. You are strong. There is a place for you here.
Maybe she feels worried like I used to feel. My mom said sometimes things. Well, remember, Abby? My mom was away for a while because she had a grown-up problem. Both our parents have had the same problem, addiction. My mom and dad told me that addiction is a sickness. Oh, yeah, a sickness that makes a person feel like they have to take drugs or drink alcohol to feel okay.
I am kind.
I am strong.
Elmo is proud.
I am hopeful.
Well, the question is, are these kinds of programs good for kids? We asked Şeyma Demirlikan, a clinical psychologist from here in Istanbul.
It is really difficult to talk about these problems, these grown-up problems, we might say, like addiction and like depression, mental health issues with children. We want to protect children and we want to hide these things from children, but they can easily sense if there is something going wrong in the house about their parents. So that's why instead of trying to hide these things from children, explaining these issues, these problems to them in a more age-appropriate and culturally appropriate ways is a really good idea, because also this worries about stigmatization about these mental problems is another obstacle from getting help, seeking help for these problems. So it is really important about these programs is that validating and normalizing these kind of emotions and telling the children that they are not wrong or they are not alone, and also they are not the one who is responsible for these problems. So it is not your fault is a really important statement for a child to hear from very younger ages. They need to know that I can talk about anything that I'm worried about, that I have questions, that I don't understand. So making these unspeakable things more unspeakable, and opening the ways of communications should start from the very younger ages, and it should continue so as they get older.
All right, to Bangladesh now for a look at what some men there are doing to show their religious devotion.
We use this henna to follow what the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, used to do. It is not to show off to others, but solely for the purpose of earning blessings.
And around the world now for some other stories you need to know this Tuesday. The Thai king has demoted his consort. Apparently, she was behaving disrespectfully and trying to elevate herself to the same status as the queen. Sininat Wongvajirapakdi was only made royal consort a few months ago. She was the first person to get that title in Thailand in almost 100 years. Justin Trudeau is the Prime Minister of Canada yet again. His party won Monday's election despite these old pictures of him being made public during the campaign. That's him dressed as Aladdin with brown paint on his face. And this is him as Harry Belafonte. He said he's not sure how many other times he dressed up as another ethnic group, but said he was sorry for the offence it caused. Video of some schoolboys from a fee-paying Catholic school called St Kevin's in Melbourne, Australia, singing sexist songs on a tram has been published. The woman who filmed it said the boys' behaviour was disgusting. The school have said sorry and say that some of the boys singing have been disciplined. TikTok says it's taken down 24 accounts which were pushing Daesh propaganda. The reporting, which comes from the Wall Street Journal, say the pages didn't have huge numbers of followers or shares. They were graphic though and made use of some of the language of the app. They used filters, music, etc. They were designed to appeal to younger users, but their content was in stark contrast to the light-hearted fun that TikTok is supposed to be. And Bhutan has been named by Lonely Planet as the best country to visit in 2020. It's in the Himalayas, if you don't know, and has a population of just under 1 million. Lonely Planet says Bhutan, which is the world's first carbon-negative country, is full of natural beauty, and because visitors there have to pay a daily fee, it's not in danger of being spoiled by over-tourism. It's World Wombat Day, a day to celebrate the little marsupials that live in Australia. So here are 3 fun wombat facts that I only learned today. 1, their pouches face backwards. This means so they can dig without getting dirt in there, the clever little things. 2, they have teeth like rodents, which mean they grow constantly, so they have to chew on stuff to stop them from getting out of hand or mouth in this case. And 3, their poop is curved apparently, so it doesn't roll away as it's used to mark their territory. And last up for today's Animals Doing Stuff, the story of a dog that went on a little bit of an unplanned adventure.
I think the dog was pretty happy to be brought over the edge by our crews. It was quite happy, wagging its tail, and very keen to get in the litter and be brought out.
Say thank you to these guys. I don't know what you did.
Good for them. That's all from the Newsfeed team. Reach out to me with your questions, comments, complaints and suggestions. You'll find me at Kamali Melbourne. You'll find us 24/7 on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel and follow me on Twitter. Follow, subscribe, add. See you again tomorrow.